You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Well, that was a bumpy start. Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today's Wednesday, I think, 21st day of January 2026. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first live broadcast is our live training room. That one is reserved for members only and those who are taking our 1-week free trial. If you have not yet taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us in about an hour, he will be back. He was back in the saddle this morning in the live training room, and he'll be back today for the afternoon broadcast. He'll walk you through step by step how to take the trial. It'll take you about 3 minutes to get signed up. We'll get you indicators up and indicating today. Your trial will officially begin tomorrow, and it will run all the way through next Wednesday afternoon. You get 5 consecutive trading days. Weekends do not count against you, and there's no credit card required. We want you focused on what's being taught so that at the end of the trial, you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not trading is right for you. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break, and we then come back at 12 noon Eastern for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com, scroll down the page to where it says noon broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. Going forward, what will happen is every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there will be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it automatically logs you into our platform. The benefit there is you have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there will be days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, but you still want to join live. And some days you'll just be busy, so you can't join live, but you do want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 2,900 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our little corner of the world, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Now, obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to, but it is a great resource to have at your fingertips because it allows you to literally see how we've evolved over the years, day by day by day, from where we started to where we are now, all these years later. youtube.com/CFRN. And while you're there, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell. This way, anytime we go live outside of our normal broadcast hours, you'll be notified. On the left side of the screen, you will see our daily schedule. And at the top of the hour, right here, this is where Michael will join us, give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning, then do a little live trading as time and the markets permit. But right now, we'll start where we always do, and that's with our daily devotional. The topic that we're on right now is the power of God's blessing. Yesterday, we discussed blessing as a greeting. Today, blessing as an assignment. Our scripture today is 1 Peter 3:9 from the ESV translation. And it reads, "Do not repay evil for evil or reviling for reviling, but on the contrary, bless. For to this you were called, that you may obtain a blessing." You see, God blesses us so that we can be a blessing. And in being a blessing, we are blessed. See how that circle works? We bless each other first and foremost with our words. By saying a prayer for the other person, or by using a positive greeting, Peter asked his fellow believers to be lenient, loving, united, merciful, and kind to one another. That's in 1 Peter 3:8. The words we use play an important role in this. That's in 1 Peter 3:10 through 11. Peter asked this of believers who were persecuted and treated with hostility because of their belief in Jesus. Could you hold your tongue instead of giving a sharp reply to a hateful comment? Could you continue to greet people kindly while you are laughed at behind your back, or whilst being refused the help you need? Such responses are not easy, but that is precisely the way to show what Jesus is like and how his followers should behave. We should refrain from putting others down on social media or from striking back with poisonous words. Thus, we can show strength to the world around us and do good to others and not cause harm. Now, There are places in the world where you're well aware that Christians are being killed brutally for their belief. So when these scriptures were written, people were being killed for their faith. Now, for those of us who enjoy the blessing of living in America, if we talk about our faith, yeah, maybe the guy in the next cubicle will, crack some jokes about us, or maybe people will talk behind our back or laugh at us. But this scripture was really written for people who were truly being persecuted. Just as is happening in the world right now, people are dying for their belief in Christ, that he is the risen Son of God. Every time we bow our heads to pray, we need to remember those people, and we need to pray for them. In doing so, we can show strength to the world around us and do good to others, not cause or wish them harm. Now, that's easier said than done, but nobody said it was going to be easy or fair. Question: what do you learn today from Peter's words? I encourage you to read all of 1 Peter 3. Where do you need Jesus' help in order to do this? Let's pray. Lord, help us respond to others, not with harm or harsh words, but with grace and blessing. Guard our hearts from bitterness and teach us to walk in humility and peace. May our words reflect your mercy, and may our lives bring honor to you. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen, and happy Wednesday. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Let me refresh that and get some fresh data. Hang on just 1 second. Okay, well, that didn't take very long. And where'd we leave off? Numbers from around the world. There we go. All right, starting here in the U.S. with the cash markets, the indices as they're called. Currently, the Dow is up 133 points. NASDAQ is down 22. S&P 500 is up 9. And the Russell 2000 is up 18. No movers, no shakers. And boy, there's just so much happening in the world today, from Davos to you name it. And the commodity basket, crude oil up 6 cents, trading 60.42 last. Gold up $63.20, trading $4,828.40 last. That's a gain of well over 1.25%. Silver up down $1.59, trading 93.04 last. That's a drop of over 1.5%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei dropped 216 points. Shanghai gained 3. Hang Seng gained 97. Still no movers, no shakers. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE up 11, DAX down 142, the CAC up 6. So they gave us a mixed day in Asia. It was a mixed day for the UK. And it is a mixed radio Wednesday here in the US of A. We have 3 of the major indices in the green: Dow, the S&P, and the Russell. Not by a lot, but in the green. And the NQ just flipped green by 8 points. And as you know, 8 points is pretty much nothing for the NASDAQ. So we'll see where we go from here. Let's take a look at the news. President Trump, now this has already taken place. This article was written earlier today. President Trump scheduled to speak at the World Economic Forum today in Davos, Switzerland. The summit comes amid ongoing tensions between the U.S. and Europe over Trump's push to acquire Greenland from Denmark. This year is the WEF's biggest gathering yet, with nearly 3,000 delegates in attendance, including business leaders and 64 heads of state. European leaders have gathered on the sidelines to discuss Trump's threat of 10% tariffs on 8 countries beginning February 1st. Trump said the tariffs will increase to 25% on June 1st unless the U.S. is able to purchase Greenland. Europe is considering invoking the anti-coercion instrument, a so-called trade bazooka, which could restrict U.S. companies' access to the EU market. Trump's speech, reportedly centered on how to make housing more affordable for Americans, will begin at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. As I said, that's already taken place. I don't have updates on it yet, so I'm sure you probably do. The Supreme Court will hear arguments today over President Trump's effort to remove Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook in a case that tests presidential power over independent agencies and the central bank's insulation from politics. Trump announced Cook's firing on social media in August, citing mortgage fraud allegations involving home loans that predate her 2022 appointment, which she denies. Cook sued, arguing the Federal Reserve Act allows removal only for cause. The law restricts presidential removals but does not explicitly define the term cause, and that her Fed seat is a protected property interest requiring notice and a chance to respond under the Fifth Amendment. Federal district judge temporarily blocked the firing in September. Trump's lawyers say the limits infringe on his constitutional authority under the unitary executive theory, while Cook's team argues the allegations are untested and unrelated to her duties. A decision is expected by late June. Yeah, it's still January. So I guess they got to think long and hard about this. On a much lighter note, penguins' breeding cycles are shifting earlier at a record pace. This is according to a study published yesterday. Researchers say rising temperatures are the most likely cause of the change, which could push 2 species to extinction by the end of the century. Let's look at Wall Street. More on Davos. President Trump traveled to Davos today and began with a combative message to Europe. You may not like what the U.S. is doing, but you can't ignore us. Okay, this is a much more recent article. The president opened his speech at the World Economic Forum, outlining what he described as an economic miracle in the U.S. and said that it is good news for Europe because the USA is the economic engine on the planet. When America booms, the entire world booms, Trump said. It's been the history. You all follow us down and you follow us up. The pointed comments appeared to be a direct response to Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, who gave a pointed speech of his own at Davos yesterday, in which he called a rules-based order led by the United States a pleasant fiction. Carney sketched out a future in which Canada, Europe, and other smaller nations could be aligned without the U.S. I say go ahead. We don't need you. Without calling out Trump by name, Carney told companies and countries to make their own path when, as he put it, great powers abandon even the pretense of rules and values for the unhindered pursuit of their power and interest. Trump ripped Carney's speech, calling it ungrateful. Trump said Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, next time you make your statements. Mark didn't mention Trump, but Trump had no problem calling out Mark. Trump's message today suggested that nations have little choice but to go along with the U.S., but also that he has little interest in Europe's rules, reiterating his desire to take control of Greenland from Denmark, one way or another, for national security reasons. Would you like me to say a few words about Greenland, he quipped about the tense topic, before reaffirming his demand for immediate negotiations. All we want from Denmark is this land on which we are going to build the greatest golden dome ever built, Trump said, insisting it's a very small ask compared to what we have given them for many, many decades. Trump also suggested he wouldn't have to take the island by force, but also notably touted U.S. military prowess, in particular a new effort to revamp a fleet of U.S. battleships. I don't want to use force. I won't use force, Trump said. But he vowed that if he is denied in his effort to take control of the island, you can say no, and we will remember. Stocks all over the place today. They turned higher earlier in the wake of the steepest sell-off in months. That was yesterday. Yesterday was just a brutal day. Stocks have flip-flopped as Trump has appeared to strike a less aggressive tone on Greenland. During a keynote address at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, the U.S. president called for immediate negotiations to acquire the Danish territory, saying only the U.S. could ensure its security. But he also suggested he wouldn't use force to gain control of the island. And you may have heard Macron's statement, we don't want to do business with bullies, we'd rather do business with China. Does he have any clue? China is the biggest bully on the planet? Well, I don't know. I guess it's neck and neck with Russia. The inhumane way they treat their own people, not to mention people that aren't their own people. It's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Closer to home, Jamie Dimon has said President Trump's proposal to cap credit card interest rates would spell economic disaster for the U.S., forcing banks to pull credit lines for many Americans. So, you know, that's such a ridiculous statement. I'll just let you figure it out. Trump tries to do something to help the American people. And of course, Jamie Dimon, the modern day Willie Sutton, the greatest bank robber of all time. Well, that's Jamie Dimon. United Healthcare Group will provide rebates to its Obamacare plan members in 2026, according to the company's new CEO. The last one got shot, but now he's a folk. But the guy who shot him is now a folk hero. Go figure. More and more people are questioning: do I really want to live in America? This isn't the America I grew up with. This isn't the America I know. And every time Trump tries to put things back in order, some leftist shoves his foot in the door. Americans face higher healthcare costs this year after Congress allowed generous COVID-19 era tax credits for federally subsidized Obamacare plans to expire. The enhanced credits introduced by the American Rescue Plan and extended by the Inflation Reduction Act. What a misleading term. The Inflation Reduction Act. It did absolutely nothing to reduce inflation. That wasn't even the point of it. But it was a catchy name. It got a lot of votes. Led to about a doubling of Obamacare signups, according to estimates by KFF, a health policy firm. And President Trump has said he will only support an extension that provides funds directly to shoppers. That's you and I, not the insurance companies. That's all Obamacare did, was make the insurance companies richer. President Trump has launched a new initiative in an attempt to loosen America's tight housing inventory. An executive order signed January 20th aims to prohibit large investment companies from buying single-family houses moving forward. Will this rule actually move the needle and make homes more affordable for families? Now, I've been talking about this on this broadcast for years. Trump's order directs government agencies to implement measures to block large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes. The president believes removing private equity firms and similar investors from the market will allow more first-time home buyers to enter the market. I mean, around me, there's subdivisions going up left and right, but they're not for sale. They're being built by developers who have no intention of selling them when they can charge a crazy amount of rent. They can rent it for more than the mortgage payment. It's a sad state of affairs. It really is. If there's anything Republicans and Democrats can agree on, and that's pretty rare, it's how to spend money. Both parties created the federal budget deficit and contributed to the looming $38 trillion national debt. President Trump's administration is actively working to close it. Since the budget is essentially financed by taxpayers, closing the gap means reduced borrowing and interest payments, lower national debt, and boosted long-term economic growth all Americans can feel. The monthly Treasury statement highlights fiscal year 2025, in which the federal government spent over $7 trillion in outlays and generated $5.2 trillion in receipts. Despite including Joe Biden's last 4 months in office, the budget deficit of approximately $1.8 trillion was still down 2% from fiscal year 2024. Early data for 2026 shows further fiscal responsibility. The cumulative deficit of $602 billion is approximately 15% lower than the same period in fiscal year 2025. But of course, all this money we have pouring into the country via the tariffs, the Supreme Court looks poised to strike them down. I thought you had to be an American to be on the Supreme Court. Maybe not. Maybe not. And last, federal immigration agents and officers from multiple agencies continue to be met with opposition in Minneapolis, where protesters and local elected officials are pushing back against the presence of more federal law enforcement nearly 2 weeks after Renee Good was fatally shot. Yet, U.S. Border Patrol Commander-at-Large Gregory Bovino and Marcos Charles, the Executive Associate Director of Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, have defined the use of force by federal agents, calling their actions professional and even courteous, despite allegations of unnecessary, forceful actions. And who didn't see the buffoon Don Lemon on TV? Yeah, guy had to know he's being recorded. Of course he knew he was being recorded. Leads this gang into a church, doing a church service, and starts lambasting the pastor as he repeatedly says, "We're simply here to worship Jesus Christ." And then, and I know you saw this, Lemon goes, "Don't push me." The pastor did not push him. The cameras were rolling, Don. Now, Kristi Noem has said this morning that before the sun sets today, there's going to be people in handcuffs. I hope she makes good on her promise. I hope it's not another one of those, well, it's what we should do, but, we're not really going to do it. I think we're all tired of that. Really tired. Weary. Maybe that's the game. Just wear us down. Do we surrender? All right, Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. We're currently in week 390. Over the last 390 weeks, we've issued over 21,300 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. This is the recap Valerie did this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. Some things have changed since then, so of course she will update it this afternoon as she does each and every day. But at the time of the recap, since the week started, and for us that was Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we issued a total of 28 alerts, still waiting on the outcome of 13. That gave us 15 actionable alerts, of which 4 or 27% would have been stopped out. Again, based on market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, some might say, well, I thought you said the average was 20% or less. It is, for over 7 years. So when the markets do things that are not what the market typically does under normal market conditions, sometimes this happens. And sometimes we end a week with 3%, where it really moves true to form. So it is what it is. We'll see where we're at by the end of the week. Can't promise you it'll be any better or any worse. We'll just have to wait and see. The purpose of the logic alerts is to help you learn how to read the chart. If you're going to trade for a living, you need to know where to anticipate resistance, where to anticipate support, In doing so, you reveal the windows of opportunity that live in between those 2 points. And that's where you'll find your most high probability, low risk trade opportunities. Every logic alert has an entry price, either long or short, an initial target, in most cases additional targets, and then a final trade to target. Again, if you never trade a logic alert, if you simply use them to learn to read the chart, you'll be doing yourself a huge, huge favor. All right, 390 weeks, that's a very long time, a little over 7 years. But long before there was a Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the Concierge Trade Alerts. Now, they're different in a lot of different ways. But for the purpose of this discussion, I'll just say they don't come out around the clock. They're published as a static report, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. The Wednesday session that we're in right now began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. But all of our members and trial members had these targets 5 minutes before the market opened. The S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude, the NQ, gold, and silver. 5 minutes before the Wednesday session began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. So let's go take a look at the charts. We'll start with the S&P 500, the daily chart. Now, earlier in the session, we had recovered basically everything from that sell-off yesterday. Okay? Huge sell-off yesterday. Today, or last night when we opened, we dropped a bit, but then we came roaring back. See that? And now look what's happened. Now, price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. That's the green line. It's called the BVC, just stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and anticipate higher prices. When we cross below the green line, bearish, lower prices, higher prices, lower prices, higher prices, lower prices. Now, things look like they were going to turn around this morning, but all of a sudden, now we'll get a closer look when we go to the 30-minute chart. But we got red and falling overhead, and when you got that much red and falling chasing price, I suspect this last area we had for support may very well come into play. Maybe this week, I don't know. Next major area for support would be right here, 67.42. And right here, 67.15. And then right here, 66.85. Then, of course, we have this double bottom that was put in. This leg was put in October, and this one was put in November 20th. That would definitely be potential support. It should be good at least for a bounce. And then we have the 24% fib retracement. That is the shallowest possible fib retracement. After the 24, then you've got the 38, the 50, the 62. Now, because we've ran so far, so high for so long, this to me looks like a market that's rolling over, and prices fall a lot faster than they rise. It takes financial commitment for price to rise. But for price to fall, all that has to happen is for the institutional traders to hit pause on the buy side. And when the hedge funds that specialize in short selling realize that the institutional buyers have done that, have hit pause on the buy side, that's when you get moves like this, and even like this whole move here. Some buyers came in here, tried to drive it back up, and they got slapped right back down. So sorry to say, for investors, things could get much worse before it gets better. For traders, you just trade what's in front of you. Although, as you can see from our results this week so far on Logic 247, I think last week we ended up with 9% stop down. But the beginning of the week started off very rough as well. And so these are not normal market conditions. Things that, if you're well versed in reading a chart, you're seeing things happen that you're like, well, wait a minute. That's not how that normally goes. And hey, but you can't argue with the market. The market doesn't really care what you think. The market's going to do what the market's going to do. So we got green on the screen right there, but not a lot. Now, what an incredible sell-off that was. Could we come roaring back into the close? Sure. Then we've got potential resistance at the high of the day, the black step line, the 38% fib extension, the daily BBC, and then red and falling. Okay, so a lot of layers of resistance overhead, fewer layers of support on the way down. Okay, now this low yesterday, right here, you see that little tiny wick sticking down and this wick sticking up. If you put your crosshair right between that, it was exactly the low yesterday. That's just market structure. Okay, all of the alerts, both the logic and the CTAs, are created on the 30-minute chart. There's nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just the time frame I chose many years ago, and I've just stuck with it. They say if it's not broke, leave it alone, so I've taken that advice. The vertical line separates today, Wednesday, from yesterday, Tuesday. The horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones, which are published every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. This week, they were published Tuesday morning because Monday was a holiday. That's how it's always been for the last 16 years. We've published the zones every Monday for a little over 16 years. December 14th of last month, or the 14th of last month. Yeah, December 14th. That marked the 16-year anniversary. Now the high today, as you can see, this area right here, you see where we had this bearish cross. Okay, this is also basically, we took out yesterday's high by just a little bit, and then we quickly folded. Now we're back below the VBC. Potential support here, 68.38. And then here, about 68.30. Now, this is the lowest weekly trading zone for the week. Remember, once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. So the fact that We're below the zone. Is that unusual? Yeah, but it does happen. However, based on the last 16 years of history, by close of business Friday, we would expect price to be at or above the lowest weekly trading zone. Is it possible we could close below? Absolutely, especially with all the things I've already mentioned today about the market's behavior, not being normal market conditions, market not behaving as it normally does. Just so much going on. Be very, very careful out there. Now, this was the open last night. This was the opening candle at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Eastern. We ran up to the BBC, pullback held, and that sent us down to the short target, which we spiked a couple times. And then we made this incredible run all the way back up to the long target. And that's a place where you would anticipate resistance based off this over here. Now we're back below the BBC. So, what a huge swing. The Dow kind of similar. Here's where we opened last night. Ran up to the BBC. The pullback held. The pullback holds more often than it doesn't, but eventually it does trade through. And so we traded through the short target and through the lowest weekly trading zone. But then we got back above the lowest weekly zone. We've had a retracement to the BBC, which held so far. Now the question is, will this one hold? Time will tell. The Russell. This was the open last night. We ran up to the zone overhead, consolidated. When blue and climbing gets directly above price, it becomes potential resistance, as it did here. And it sent price all the way down to the short target. The short target was based off yesterday's bullish cross. When the blue line gets above the green line and leads to an extended move, that's called a bullish cross. When you have a bullish cross, that again leads to an extended move. The first time price revisits that area will almost always be good support. So we saw evidence of it even yesterday, right here. Bullish cross. This low going into the close yesterday. That's what the short target was based on. The long target was based right here off blue turning to red. Now in real time, there may have been some resistance there, but as you can see, we closed above it, ran all the way up to the zone at 2702/2703. But now we're back below the BBC, back below the zone. So we have potential support at this low right here. First you got the low of the current candle, which is about to get taken out, it looks like. Then 2662 and 2659, 2657, and you're back to the short target. If we should trade through the short target right here. So you got the little wick sticking up, little wick sticking down. Crosshair right between the two. 2645, we'll call it. And then if we trade through that, got this little double bottom here, which lines right up with where red turned to blue. And that could be where we're headed, 2638. It's certainly in the cards. Blue and climbing is about to turn to red and falling. That puts additional pressure on the move to the downside. On the NQ. Here's where we opened. When red and falling gets directly below price, it becomes potential support because it's on its way to becoming blue and climbing. So that took us up to the BBC, where we consolidated for quite a few hours. Remember, these are 30-minute candles. Finally, we broke down. We got a leg, a retracement, and a leg that took us through the short target. Buyers finally came in here, drove us all the way up here. What an incredibly huge move. Engulfed everything that happened yesterday. And now look where we are, back below the BBC. This is not your father's market. These are not normal market conditions. Crude, we're now on the H contract. Here's where we opened last night. Yesterday we went from zone to zone, back to the zone, and then right here, the low right here, as you can see, is right at the bullish cross. Again, that's when the blue line gets above the green line. When price revisits that area, it will almost always become good support. And it did. Support sends the market looking for resistance, which it found at the BBC. That sent us back down to the zone, not quite to the target. The low was 59.22. The zone is 59.20/25. From there we bounced, got up to the zone overhead, consolidated sideways. Now you can see that price has tried to push through red and falling. Here's 1, 2, 3 attempts. When the step line crossed blue and climbing, price retraced to the BBC as it does, and then bounced. But red and falling, blue and climbing's bullish, red and falling's bearish. So right now price is pinched between the zone and the BBC. You got resistance here, support here. You've also got resistance at the black step line and red and falling. Gold. This was the open last night. And in the second 30-minute candle, we hit it. That candle opened at 47.64. Ran up $1,600 per contract traded to the target. And then continued higher. Now we're back below the BBC and we found support at the highest weekly trading zone. We're above the highest weekly zone. 48.07, 48.08. Again, by close of business on Friday, we expect price to be at or below the highest weekly zone. And last, silver. Here's the open last night. Ran up to the zone, resistance. Sent us back down to this area here. We didn't make it in that move to the short target. We bounced. Leg, retracement. See, things are just, when things aren't behaving as normal, unless you know how to trade not normal, best thing to do is just put your mouse in the drawer and just watch. Support at the zone, that's normal, okay? But now the step line is crossing red and falling, so price may potentially make a run back to the BBC. Pullback holds more often than not. If it trades through, watch this area for potential resistance, and then this area, and then this area. Let's take one last look at the daily. Got a little more green there than we had when we looked at it a few minutes ago. So price is trying to bounce off the BBC. Okay, we got above it. You got potential resistance here at the lowest weekly zone, then the step line, then blue and climbing, long target, and then up here you got the high of the session. Tough day to be a trader. Some days I say it's a great day to be a trader, but today is a tough day. And if you're trading, you already know that. All right, Michael will be joining us in a couple minutes for a recap of what happened in the live training room and do a little live trading on the TradingView platform. To become a member, email Valerie support@cfrn.net. Just let her know you want to become a member. She will email you all the information you need to get signed up. Once you're signed up and become an official member, passport holder, you'll have 2 hours of live training every trading day. On top of the 2 hours of live training every trading day, you'll also have access to private one-on-one mentoring. There's no extra charge. All you got to do is ask. The strategy you learn, the indicators you use as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. It's just how markets work. As a passport holder, you get the Logic 247 alerts. Around the clock. The concierge trade alerts, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex open each evening. You get the weekly trading zones every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And you're able to attend the members only workshop every Thursday night. You also get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof for one low price. Simply email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. She'll send you the information you need to get signed up.
Okay.
Are you there?
I am here.
Have you been there for a while?
No, I just got here.
Oh, okay.
Did you ask for me?
No. I just noticed that the YouTube thing had hung up. I try to keep an eye on that, but I missed it this time.
Okay.
Anyway. So.
Yes, I am here.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I will take it over here then. Here we go. There it is.
Okay. All right. Looks good.
Excellent. All right. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 21st day of January 2026. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us and you'd like to take a free trial with us, then just go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There is no credit card required for the trial. When you click on that, it is going to bring you to this page right here. All right. On this page, all that you need to do is give us your name, your email, your phone number. Then down here at the bottom, give us your TradingView login ID. All right. Once you give that to us, we'll know that you took the free trial and get you all registered and ready to go. All right. Oops. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. And we'll get you all registered and get your indicators indicating on your desktop so you're ready to go when we get started. All right, recap today. Today, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. We had an okay day today, not a great day, but pretty good. Today, as I said, is the 21st day of January 2026. We're up 121 ticks on the NQ, minus 18 on the YM. I don't think we're ever positive on the YM, were we? Nope. Plus 36 on the gold and plus 9 on the ES. Now, the 121 was not the high of the day on the NQ. The high of the day on the NQ was actually 168 ticks. Minus 18 on the YM was not the low of the day. The low of the day was minus 28. The high of the day was minus 13, or actually 0 before we stopped out the first time. The gold, the high of the day was 36. And the ES, the high of the day was 14. Today, it took 3 minutes and 1 trade. It was an NQ trade to get to $2,300 or $230 with 1 contract, $2,300 with 10. It took 45 trades this morning and 7 stop outs. So 84.44% of our trades today were break even or better. I think we had 3 break even trades. On the month, that puts us at $12,757. Now, when we got the goal for the day, it was exactly $12,000. It was exactly $12,000 when we got the goal for the day today. But that's over 11 days, averaging $1,159 per contract per 2-hour trading day. I wanted to get that over $1,200 by the end of the month. So I believe this week is what we have left, right? We have all of next week. So we have 2 days left this week and all of next week to get that over $1,200 by the end of the month. That's where I'd like to get it and keep it for the whole year. That is something that I think is doable, and that'd be good stuff. The 2420. If you were to quit trading when you get the goal for the day and you're to add 1 contract per month, so far this year you'd work just under 1 hour and you'd be up $1,542. All right, you'd worked 0.98 hours, 59 minutes, and you'd be up $1,542, and that works out to be $1,568 per hour. Is what it actually works out to be, $1,568 per hour. All right, let's go get into the trades that we did do and didn't do. Let's start out with gold because we stopped trading gold after, wow, look at this. What's happened? Something has gone horribly wrong. We stopped trading gold after a little while. And let's see, the gold, it had a spread. So I don't know, we might trade a little bit of gold in this session. We might not. I don't know. Let me just hit gold back on that. It's taking a long time to get it back there with the mouse. So we'll do it this way. There are a lot of bars in there on gold today. I'm guessing something happened during the break. All right, here we are. On the gold, our first trade on gold. Gold is where we got the gold for the day, actually. Don't know why it's not showing the first trade in here. Actually, gold is not. The NQ is where we got the gold for the day. Sorry. Gold. When was our first trade on gold? We'll get to it. Here it is right here. This was our first trade on gold. We got 10 ticks on the first trade, 15 ticks on the second trade. 10 more ticks on the third trade. That got us to 36. And then 1 tick on the fourth trade. That got us the 15 trades. I'm sorry, the 10 ticks on the third trade got us to 35, and 1 tick there got us to 36. And that is where we stopped trading gold because the spread just got too big. I'll show you what I mean as soon as I find my DOMs. Hold it. Here it is right here. See, it's trading really thin, and there's like a 4-tick spread in there. So the spread really got wide after all this happened right here. So I stopped trading gold at that point. And so there's no sense in even looking at it right now. Just go all the way to the end. And see, right now, we don't have a trade set up, and I'm not going to trade gold right now either. All right, so I'm going to shove that over in the corner where it was. Now look at the YM. Now the YM's had my number all day. I never got positive on the YM this morning. My best total on the YM was 0 when I started. And it was all downhill from there. So let me scroll this back here a little bit. And here we are. Now the YM, our first trade on the YM, whatever that was. There it was. Our first trade on the YM was right here. It was the stop out, minus 15. Then we had a +1 to get us to minus 14. And we had a +1 to get us to minus 13. Another stop out to minus 28. Then we picked up 10 ticks there to get us to minus 18. And that was it. That was where we stopped with the YM. There just weren't that many trades there this morning with the YM. But look at all the, the bars between 9:30, right here, 9:30 to 11 o'clock was this many. Now, if I do one full screen of bars, again from 11 o'clock, I guess it was 11 o'clock to 12:30. It's not too bad. It seemed like there were a lot more bars during the break. But either way, we we ended up minus 18 on YM this morning. All right, it doesn't have any trade setups right here. There was just a lot of movement just a few minutes ago. I don't know why. Now, the ES, we did okay on the ES at the beginning, but then we stopped out one time on the ES. And, if you don't have a lot of really big trades, one stop out can ruin your day. And here we are on the ES this morning. Our first trade was right there for +8. Then our next trade, we got 6. That got us up to 14. Then we had a break even, and then we stopped out. Brought us down to 4. +1 to go to 5. +4 to go to 9, and I didn't write in whatever that was right there. 11.24. Imagine it was a +1. I'll have to go look. I don't think I took too many trades after that. Let's see. You know what? I'll do this some other time. But I didn't write it in. And during the break, you can see there was a lot of movement here during the break. It does not have a trade. It does not have a trade right now because it did not come off the mid band right there. This is coming out of the overbought. Now the NQs where we had the majority of our trades and made the majority of our money. It started out gold was going to be the one where we made the majority of the money. But we'll scroll all the way back on this and get it started. All right. This was our first trade on the NQ. And the reason I have the off color blue is because it didn't actually come out of the overbought. I thought it did, but it didn't. And we grabbed that trade right there and we got 46 ticks on the very first trade. All right. And then the very next trade smacked us down right there. Minus 25 on that, brought us down to 21. Then on the trade after that, I marked it orange because it went to +4, but it slipped me 12 ticks right here. When it went to take me out of +4, it slipped me 12 ticks. I ended up with a -8 on that. And that brought me down to 13. And then, as you can see, we went from 13 to 17, 17 to 21, 21 to 28, and 28 to 29 in that span. And get those out of there. Do the next 4. From 29 to 37, 37 to 45, 45 to 49, and 49 to 53. It's those four. So after this one here, we're at 53. And the reason this one is an off-color blue is because this one didn't go full cycle right there. I got 4 ticks profit on that. Now, if we drag it all the way over here, there's a whole bunch of them right here. So went from 53, had a big trade right there, went 53 up to 98, then 98 to 106, 106 to 118, 118 to 134, 134 to 138, 138 to 154, then 154 to 158, 158 to 162, and then we have a stop out right there. Stop out brought us down to 137, then went up to 141, then we stopped out again, down to 116, and then we went up to 136, and then we stopped out again, down to 121. So we had these 3 stop out at the end, and there was one earlier on, I think. Anyway, the majority of the stop outs were on the NQ. Then we had all this movement during the break. So I'm not going to go through all the stuff during the break because I want to get in there and trade some. If we get in there right now, we'll have about 18 minutes of trading to do. So for anybody coming in right now onto YouTube, if you have not taken a free trial, go get mytradingiq.com. Click on the purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button. It will bring you to this registration page. Just fill it out. Right? When you fill this out, down at the bottom, all is your TradingView login ID right here, right? And if you give us that, we'll get your indicators indicating on your desktop. Now, I had said last week, and I'll say it again right now, anybody that takes a trial right now is a great time to take the trial because you get the rest of this week and the rest of next week. Okay. So it's a great time to take in the trial if you have not taken the trial. I want to come down here and see who all is in here right now. All right. All right. Good stuff. That's it. Let's get in there and trade. Okay. We just about have a trade here on the YM. We need an up close on the YM. And the YM has been whooping me today, but I'm still going to try it if it gives it to us. Now it's getting kind of far away. If it closes down, it's going to be too far away. It did close down, no trade on the YM, but watch the NQ here. The NQ and up close there would be a trade. Okay. And there it is on the NQ, and here it is. We're at +4. We'll go to +8, and we're at +8 on that first NQ trade. Okay, so I always find myself screwing this up in the morning. Today, we will go to 31 on this. Today is 121 so far. We're +8 on the NQ. Copy this to paste. Copy that. Paste. 1, 0. And we only have 16 minutes today. So 16 minutes. And this number down here becomes a 31. Right. And then this number becomes a different number too. Right. Because the number over here becomes a different number. This becomes a 17. That is 17. All right. So that's where we are right now. We get back in here and trade some more again. The YM did not end up giving us a trade. The ES did not give us a trade. The NQ gave us the one trade. We took some ticks on. It just gave another one right here. It's kind of like to get into. The YM could give a trade right here on an up close. Needs the up close to give the trade. The ES could also give a trade on an up close. It also needs an up close to give a trade. They're both at the midpoint, pulling back to YBR. The YM just triggered in. Here's the YM. Hasn't gone break even plus a tick yet. It's going to get 5 ticks in profit above that stop automatically. The ES did not trigger. The NQ just flipped the YBR down. So waiting here on the YM. It's got to go 5 ticks in profit. Once the yellow hits right there, it'll bump us to plus 1 tick, and it just gave us that 1 tick. Okay, and the ES just triggered 2 on the up close right there on the ES is a long trade. The NQ is about to give a short trade right in there. It just did give a short trade right in there, and it gapped way down. You had to have your order ready on that one. The ES just triggered. Here's the ES. I'm going to put the 1 tick on the YM in a second. The ES just bumped our stop to break even. 1 tick on the ES. Got 1 on the ES and 1 on the YM. And the NQ gap down. I wasn't ready for the NQ trade. Okay, so let's go here. We had 1 there and 1 there. And this is now a 3. Okay, get back over here. Everybody follow me on all this stuff? Does anybody have any questions about it at this point? Blake. I got your email. I responded to your email. So those of you guys that were aware of my crisis this morning with Macy, it's all resolved. Batteries changed. Car is running. It's back on the road. Turns out AAA carries batteries with them. All right, we don't have anything here because nothing's coming together just right. You need to have a flat spot before that. You need that to be off the midpoint. And you need that to be off the midpoint. We just about have one here on the NQ right now, though. There it is on the NQ. So. It's not gone 10 ticks into profit yet, and it's not stopped me out yet. So let's see what happens with it. What time do we have? We have 11 minutes left in here, so there's plenty of time for more trades in here. The markets are today. They are +4, and it just gave me +4. Plenty of time for more trades today. Back in here. Keep it up. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing here yet. All right, the YM could be a trade here on a down close. The ES needs an up close followed by a down close. The NQ did not come off the midpoint. It didn't come out of the overbought. So the NQ could be a trade here on a down close right now. The YM needs a down close. There's the YM trade. The NQ, I didn't have the NQ ready. The YM I just put on and it just stopped me out. Sorry, I didn't bring it over fast enough. The S is looking like it could give a trade here too. Now the, can put that in, hang on. YM. Again, the YM. You can move that today. Okay. Back into the trade. The S ended up not being a trade. The NQ did actually have a trade right there that I didn't get. The YM had this trade right here that just stopped me out. All right. More stuff. This is not a trade on the NQ. It needs to get into the overbought, pull back again. The YM looks like it wants to flip to YBR right here. Could possibly do that. The S is not committing one way or another yet. The ES could be a trade here on a down close. There it is. That is a valid trade on the S on the down close. That is also a valid trade on the NQ on the up close. Nothing on the YM. Okay. The ES has now gone to break even. The NQ went to +4 right there. So the ES I just took 2 on. In the NQ I took 4 on. Sorry, I didn't have time to bring that over and show you. But ES is now at 3 and the NQ is now at 16. This number is now at 7. Okay. Back in here. We flipped YBR again here on the NQ. The ES kept going down after that last one right there, and the YM needs to pull all the way back up into the overbought. YM and the NQ could both have trades here. We could all have trades here, really. The NQ did not hit the midpoint yet. If it gives us a down close now, which it just did, it's not a trade. YM needs an up close followed by a down close. ES needs at least one up close followed by a down close. Okay, we didn't get it on the YM, we didn't get it on the S, we didn't get it on the NQ. Does anybody have any questions about any of this? I'm going to step out a little bit and see what's going on in the rest of the world. Okay, so the ES today had a high way up there. Almost retraced all of yesterday's action. Almost. SPY, the same thing. Interesting. All right, so we have trade potential on these two markets are closest right now. They need up closes to get into the overbought. Didn't make it into the overbought. Up closes to there it is on the NQ. Now it needs down close to get out of the overbought and get off the midpoint. There it is on the NQ. The NQ just gave me all of it, I think. No, it didn't. Wait. It gave me 4. Oh, good Lord. Went all the way down there. I thought it gave me all of it, and then it ended up giving me just 4. Okay. That is no good. It went really close to giving me all of it. I know I saw the bottom. I actually took this one too by accident and gave me 4 as well. So this was kind of a mistake. The ES needs a down close here. Okay, the YM needed a down close as well. The YM actually flipped the YBR. The YM didn't need a down close. Sorry. The ES does need the down close. And I'm going here. That's okay. Or in 2 more trades over here. Both NQ trades. Okay, we get back in there. This is not a trade because this is where it came out of the overbought right there. You see how it went from red to white? That means this one actually came out of the overbought. So that makes this not a trade. The ES is actually a trade right here. Okay, and the YM is not a trade right here. Okay, the ES, here it is. I stopped to break even on that. Going +1. And I'm out with +1 on the ES. So we're going to have plenty of trades. Plenty of trades. It's now 1:27 just about, so we have about 3 minutes left. Need to stop out right now because it'd be hard to recover from it in 3 minutes. We need an up close on the NQ. Up close on the NQ. The ES is so close to, there's the up close on the NQ. Here, bring it over. Here it is. Stop, just went to +4 and it just took me out with +4. The ES is so close to flipping the YBR right here. I would be cautious of taking anything on the short side on ES right now. The YM looks like it wants to give us a trade. We just got 4 more on the NQ right there, so we'll put that on. 8. Okay, YM didn't give us a trade. The NQ is now moving up pretty strongly. It looks like the ES did flip the YBR. I haven't been even looking at the gold. Let's just look at the gold really quick. 1 second here. See all these gaps you have in the gold. That's why I'm not trading it. It doesn't look like it's really all that tradable anyway. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody questions about anything that I'm doing right now? All right, it is. We have 1.5 minutes left. It's a pretty active trading. We've only had 1 stop out so far. I'm not going to load. All right, the YM. Let's get down there. The NQ didn't make it into the oversold, so that's not a trade. The YM's not a trade. Nothing's getting down low enough. I don't know that we're going to have time for another trade here. Okay, we're in the oversold on the YM, but we're nowhere near the midpoint. We're in the oversold on the NQ. If they both close up on this bar, then neither one of those are going to be a trade, and we're just about out of time anyway. But they're both at trade points right now. They both need up closes right now. They have trades. And there they both go. We got 4 ticks on the NQ, and here's the YM. So we got 4 ticks out of the NQ, and the YM still in there, hasn't gone 5 ticks into profit yet. It's gonna go up with another one right there. There it goes. I'm gonna lock in more than one. There's 2 ticks on the YM. So we got 4 ticks on the NQ and 2 ticks on the YM. And that, I believe, is how we're gonna end up wrapping it up. 4 ticks here, that puts us at 32. And 2 ticks on the YM, it's -12 there. 13 trades. Whew. All right. So with 1 contract, we would have gotten the gold for the day, $150 a contract. With 10, we're up $1,500. We traded 13 times in 16 minutes. That's pretty active. 13 times in 16 minutes, and 92.3% of our trades were break even already. We didn't have any break even trades, I don't think. So 92.3% of our trades were profitable. We only had 1 stop out on 13 trades. 13 trades with one stop. We ended up with 32 ticks on the NQ, minus 12 on the YM. Didn't do gold, and plus 4 on the ES. So $1,500 with 10 contracts, or 150 with one contract. Now, again, that is enough for the goal for the day, right? The average is now $134 per session. Okay, with one contract, or $1,346 per session with 10 contracts. I don't know why I'm keeping that number. That doesn't really apply since we're just keeping this thing running. But I'm going to copy this and insert one row below, paste it there, and then clear. I'll create these numbers anyway. All right, so that is it, guys. So if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on the purple button, and it will bring you to this registration page. On this page, just give us your name, your email, your phone number, hit the register button. Once you hit that register button, we'll give you everything you need to get your indicators indicating on your desktop and to get you in the room in the morning with us. All right? And that is it. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's the point.
With all the craziness, Intel's up like 9%.
Is it really?
Yeah, I don't know why. Anyway, recap of the morning session.
Today it took, Today it took 3 minutes and one trade to get to $2,300.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So you all squared away with that battery issue?
Yep, it's all fixed. They did everything right there when they went to jump it. They apparently brought the battery she needed and took care of it on the spot.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is a pretty good deal. And I actually looked up the battery prices. It's not that bad for having them do it right there on the spot. It's like, I don't know, $50 more than I would have paid if I were to go buy it myself and put it in myself and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, batteries aren't cheap these days.
No, they are not.
All right. Well, I'm glad you got that taken care of.
Yes, me too.
All right, guys. If you missed any part of today's broadcast, I covered all the markets in granular fashion. So as soon as I sign off, you can go to youtube.com/CFRN and watch all of today's broadcast in its entirety. So all we have left is to wrap things up with our good word for the day, which is to believe God for greater things. James 4:2. You do not have because you do not ask. Some people think we're not supposed to ask God for too much. Otherwise, it's selfish. But God wants you to ask. You do not have because you do not ask. If you're not asking, then you're not releasing your faith. Jesus said in Matthew 9:29, according to your faith, be it unto you. You need to learn to pray bold prayers and expect and believe God for greater things. Psalm 2:8 says, ask of me, and I will give you the nations for your inheritance, and the ends of the earth for your possession. That's a bold prayer. But if God tells you to pray it, it's because He's willing to answer it. You may have a dream in your heart, but don't see how it could ever happen. Remember, Jesus fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. He's a God of multiplication. He can multiply your time and help you get more done. He can multiply your wisdom and help you make better decisions. He can multiply your finances. 2 Corinthians 9:10. May he who supplies seed to the sower multiply the seed you have sown. Instead of being satisfied with merely surviving, God wants you to thrive. A survival mentality will keep you from God's best. Shake it off and say, God, you promised that what was meant for my harm, you would use to my advantage. That's Romans 8:28. I may have been through the fire, the famine, and the flood. Lord, help me to trust you to work all things for good. So our good word for today, believe God for greater things. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.